I'm B. Sammy Davis, and this is Some Dumb News, the show that looks at some of the dumbest headlines from around the world every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and share with your friends. A new Congress is in chambers trying to get started doing their job. But first things first, a new Speaker of the House has to be chosen, and most people thought GOP leader Kevin McCarthy would take that role. Unfortunately, after 5 votes on the subject, McCarthy continues to fail to meet the 218 vote threshold he needs to take the gavel. Even with former President Donald Trump encouraging Republicans to vote for McCarthy, a small group of Republicans continue to back Florida's Byron Donalds. Not that it matters, but all 212 Democrats have backed New York Representative Hakeem Jeffries, but unless 6 Republicans decided to vote for him, he's not going to be Speaker of the House. The last time the House of Representatives could not select a new House Speaker was in 1923, 100 years ago, and it took 9 votes to get that speaker elected. Now, while I do love watching Republicans implode and fumble with power, it is becoming the new norm in American politics. We're stuck with this two-party system, but neither party has the courage to do anything with power. But this is the government we get, one that refuses to work for the American people and one that rewards theater over policy. If the Republicans can come together, they have announced that they want to immediately launch investigations into the Biden administration, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the U.S. relationship with China. As a reminder, the COVID-19 pandemic started during the Trump presidency and during the last Republican majority, but I'm sure Republicans will conveniently forget about modern history. As far as the other 2 investigations, Republicans want to investigate the Biden administration and the judiciary for investigating crimes committed by the former president, and they want to look at the strategic competition between the US and China. If I'm honest, I'm a little excited about the COVID-19 investigation, if only to watch some conspiracy theorists whine that their conspiracies aren't being taken seriously anymore. I heard that Fauci created the virus, and now people aren't talking about it anymore. Why did people stop talking about this blog that I read a couple of years ago? One thing Republicans can agree on is that they don't want metal detectors outside the chamber floors. In January of 2021, shortly after Donald Trump's attempted coup, the magnetometers were installed, and Democrats added new safety rules, including mask mandates and security screenings. Now, Republicans are rolling those policies back, claiming that masks are unscientific. I wonder how many Republicans in the House are actual scientists. Google tells me none of them are, but I really don't care enough to research over 200 Republicans. But I gotta be honest, Republicans removing the metal detectors does puzzle me a little bit, since they often point to that device as the ultimate in safety whenever a school shooting happens. I guess they just aren't a safe tool in the halls of Congress. Staying in politics, one of the Republicans who voted against Kevin McCarthy is Florida Representative Anna Paulina Luna. And her fight with the Republican majority isn't her only ongoing battle. Back home in Florida, Luna has hired the Holland and Knight law firm to fight claims during the primary that Luna is actually a witch. In a sane world, this would be laughable. And frankly, Luna's winning of the election should have been enough to prove to her that this doesn't matter. But in the minds of some Republicans, the satanic panic of the 80s was real, and any accusation of witchcraft must be taken seriously. But even if Representative Luna was really a witch, it doesn't matter. Guess what, people? Magic isn't real. And the only way you can prove me wrong is to use your magic to make me offensively rich and famous. Even then, I still won't believe you if you tell me your magic made it happen. But at least I won't be struggling financially anymore. Let's leave the US for a bit and look at dumb politicians elsewhere in the world. Now, as long as I can remember, I have been taught that our use of fossil fuels was polluting our atmosphere and causing climate change. I have witnessed summers getting hotter and winters bringing less snow to my area where we depend on winter snow to supply our water for the year. At this point, most intelligent people know it's happening, which makes it strange that climate change seemed to catch French President Emmanuel Macron by surprise during his New Year's speech. Macron started by talking about the economy, saying, "Who could have predicted the wave of inflation that was unleashed? Or the climate crisis and its spectacular impact on our country this summer?" And to both of those, I'd argue that many people have predicted both of those things. Early in 2022, right before the inflation began to run away, several economical analysts were warning that we needed to be prepared for an economic downturn. I think we all hoped it would be another housing bubble, because if housing prices dropped, regular Americans might actually be able to afford a home of their own. And as far as climate change goes, we've had increasingly hot summers for the past 5 years at least. Who could have predicted that last summer would be so hot? Who could possibly predict that next summer will be hotter? He then moved on to talking about how French people need to work more. Yes, people of France, you need to work more hours. That will solve inflation and climate change somehow. Andrew Tate remains in custody for human trafficking, and one group of fans are concerned for his well-being and asking for his release. That group is the Taliban. Self-proclaimed anti-woke journalist Samira Khan hosted a Twitter space with several members of the Afghan Taliban, where people got the opportunity to share their concern for the misogynist influencer. Again, Tate is in custody for human trafficking, but the Taliban believes the West needs people like Andrew Tate because we are oppressed by feminists. I'm not being oppressed by feminists. Are you being oppressed by feminists? Where are all of these oppressive feminists? The Taliban has been in charge in Afghanistan after the US left Kabul in 2021. During their time in power, women have been barred from education, proving that the only oppression in the Taliban world comes from men. I do kind of wonder if Andrew Tate is proud that some of his biggest fans are the Taliban. Back in the US, one Christian church claims that a growing homeless camp is scaring off parishioners. If you're a Christian who doesn't want to see homeless people, you're not a real Christian. So I can confidently say that the Greek Orthodox Church of the Assumption is not a Christian organization. I'm a former Christian myself, and one of the reasons I left the church was because of Christian hypocrisy just like this. Jesus preached against wealth and encouraged helping those in need. American Christians chase wealth and move the needy out of sight. The Greek Orthodox Church of the Assumption has complained to Seattle officials multiple times, stating that while they want these people to get help, they are just too small of a church to offer any help. Jesus and 12 disciples were able to help the poor, so I have to assume the Greek Orthodox Church of the Assumption has fewer than that in its church. Let's move on to Louisiana, where a new law will require ID to view porn online. Republican State Representative Lori Schlegel introduced the bill last year to protect children and hold companies accountable. I don't know if anyone told her that these companies do not historically care to protect their users' private data, so maybe it's ignorance that makes her believe that these companies will suddenly be responsible with people's state IDs. A similar idea was tried in the UK, where citizens would have to buy a license to view porn, but it was cancelled due to privacy and data protection concerns. Schlegel believes that the internet forces porn on people, suggesting that she believes anything her kids tell her when she barges in their rooms. No, Mom, I didn't look up big-boobed babes. It was the internet that made me look at them. And they probably changed my search history. Facial recognition technology is far from perfect, but that isn't stopping law enforcement from trusting it completely. Louisiana police arrested Georgia resident Randall Reed for theft in Jefferson Parish. Except Reed had never heard of Jefferson Parish because he has never been to Louisiana. That didn't stop police from throwing Reed in jail from November 25th to December 1st. Now, the main issue with facial recognition technology is that it is not programmed to work on all faces. Usually, several light-skinned engineers work on and test the product until it's good enough for them, and then salespeople will tell law enforcement agencies that it is a perfect technology. Police then claim that they use this tool to give them leads, not to make arrests, but then they use facial recognition as their main tool for gaining an arrest warrant, like they did with Randall Reed, an innocent Georgia man arrested by Louisiana authorities because of software that was likely never tested on darker complexions. Chatbots are back in the news, baby! Last month I shared a story of a professor complaining about students using chatbots to write essays, only then to reveal that this professor also uses chatbots for his teaching materials. This month I get to tell you about Princeton's Edward Tien, who built GPT-0 to detect when an essay was written using ChatGPT, the most popular chatbot. What strikes me most is that Tien and others consider the use of chatbots as plagiarism, despite the fact that these bots operate by attempting to craft completely unique text based on a given subject. Questions of what makes something plagiarized aside, early demos of GPT-0 showed the tool's ability to distinguish between a New York Times article and a ChatGPT article, successfully naming the latter as a chatbot. While I'm sure teachers will be the ones using GPT-0 the most, if you're a student, be sure to use it on your teacher's documents. After all, if your use of a chatbot is to be policed, you might as well police back. I write every goddamn word of my scripts, even on the days like today when I tell myself not to write a script at all. Maybe it would be smarter if I started using ChatGPT, but old habits die hard, and besides, I don't want anyone showing up and telling me that they found out that I was using a chatbot. But that's it for some dumb news. There were several other stories that I did not get to, so I'll likely be saving those for another episode. If you made it this far in the video, why not subscribe? I'd also appreciate if you liked the video, commented about your favorite story, and shared this with your friends. If you hated the video, maybe share it with your enemies. Hey, I'm still Sammy Davis. Thanks for watching.